Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 15th of January 2023. I received a video. Thank you very much for the person who is sending these things because the media are very choosy. Okay. Anyway, today's video is Islam is falling into the abyss. Okay, let's start. Two things happened again, like last week. One in Saudi Arabia, and the other one in Iran. To start, a while ago I was speaking about the killing in Islam and the crucifixion. And I said, because I'm going to put that Quranic verse in the description box for somebody, if somebody wants to read it again. It says that the founder of Islam, the guy who came with this ideology, anyone who fights God or his messenger. And you have to stop there and ask yourself, who fights God and what method or what kind of weapon would you use to cause harm to God? Could you stab him with a dagger? Could you hit him with a sword on his neck, chop his head off? Could you throw a lance on him and hit him in the heart and get rid of him? Or how? Who fights God and how? Because if a country fights another country, they normally do damage to each other. So if I am to fight God, what damage do I do to this God? Could I kill him? Anyway, it's not really, nobody physically fights God. But what's meant here is to fight whoever the Sultan in charge, whether the Sultan is the founder of this wretched ideology, or his followers, or today's leader in Iran or in any other country. That is more likely because no leader wants to give, a dictatorial leader. Democratic countries, they have different, they advanced in a way. But Islamic countries, as well as communist countries, for example, like Kim Jong Un in North Korea, Maduro in Venezuela, Xi Jinping in China. All these communist countries, they take charge and they don't want to let go. And anyone who threatens their existence normally gets killed. North Korea, Kim Jong Un, he killed his own half brother. He murdered him. He killed his uncle. Anyone whom they feel that they could actually cause trouble for the Sultan, for the leader, death is the best and fastest way to secure their authority. This including, it was the laws established at the time of 1400 years ago when this guy came with this ideology, and we have that Quranic verse until now that whoever fights God or his messenger is to be, the translation is killed, But once again, I remember I said killing is one thing, and the way it's written, of course, when you put it to Google to translate, it cannot translate the culture behind the word. The word qatal means kill, or killed, um, but qatala, they put some emphasis in the middle of the word, and that means when you kill, you have to, like, make the person beg to kill him quickly, put him through pain and suffering, and let the the masses see that, so no one else will dare challenge the authority again, challenge the sultan again, ever again. This is practiced in Islamic country, and it was practiced in Egypt. I'm not sure now, but until actually uh, during President Nasser, I was a young child, and he did that with uh, at least I heard of it, yes, with his with the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm not saying the Muslim Brotherhood don't deserve to be banished. Maybe he had a point there, but he was dictator. He was a dictator, so he got rid of them the way they actually do things. So, uh, the same thing happened in Iran. A deputy of defense was hanged yesterday. And this tells me something. If you see something different, please comment in I read all the comments. Uh, that says that they are in a very tight, the leadership in Iran, they are in a very difficult situation. They don't know what to do, so they are trying whatever comes to their head, because they feel they are losing the grip. So to take a person like of a deputy, a defense deputy, and hang him. And by the way, he has dual nationality, British as well as Persian. But he seems to have known that this system is collapsing, and they didn't like him to put that in public. So they accused him of that Quranic verse that he is fighting Allah and his messenger, or whoever in place of his messenger now, the caliphate who is in charge of Iran now, today. Hence, he has to pay with his life. So they hang him. Well, they should actually say, hey, you should thank us because we did not follow the Quran 100% and torture him while he is dying. We didn't chop his hand and his opposite foot off and cut him into pieces until he died. We didn't crucify him and let him mourn until he dies with one chopped hand and one chopped foot. So they were very merciful. Thank you very much. They hanged him more humane way. They became human now. So that is very clear that Iran is in terrible shape. And one thing the nature of a woman, normally women don't want confrontation. They don't want physical fight. Yes, they can talk. They try to solve their problem by speech, by talking. But they normally, women don't want physical confrontation. And in case, in the past, the young people in Iran, men specifically, were the ones who went out to stand against the Iranian regime and Islam. But this time, it is the women who are actually initiating the demonstration and standing against the regime. That tells me something. The cup is full. They had enough. Normally, the woman will advise her husband or son or brother or father, please don't go out into that dangerous situation. You could get killed, and then I become a widow, or I lose my son, or I lose my brother, or so on and so forth. Normally, women try to keep their children or their husband safe. They don't want them to go into that danger zone. But now the women are taking the initiative, which means the cup is filled to the rim. They can't take it anymore. And the authority knows that. So we have a saying in Egypt, it goes, beat up the chained one so the free ones will be intimidated. So they had in their hands this man, they hang him. Why now? And they also hang many young people who are demonstrating. And normally they do the hanging in public to put fear, to intimidate the rest. Because many people, when they see that situation, they could actually give in and say, I don't want to die like this. I don't want to suffer like this. I don't want to be tortured like this. But the thing is, these people are not stopping. On the contrary, it's becoming bigger, which says, your time is up. Your time in Iran. There's something else that it's happening in Saudi Arabia, which it says the opposite. And this is the video that I received from somebody. I'm going to put it in the description box. And it is Saudi Arabia accepted to have a deal with a soccer player, or some people call it football, from Portugal. His name is Orlando, to go to play with a Saudi team. Is a very good player, and this is common in many countries. I saw in like South Korean teams, they have African players. They bought good players from Africa. It's not like they are buying a slave. That's common between teams. You sell one player to another team, or one person will actually play for other teams, and they pay him a certain amount of money. So Rolando, that good soccer player, is going to play for Saudi Arabia. The thing is, he's not married, but he has a girlfriend living with him, and that's his business. That's his business in the West. But in Saudi Arabia, you're not supposed to live with a woman. A man should not live with a woman without being married under one roof, in one house. But Saudi Arabia told him, this is your business. We don't interfere in your business. what happened to the morality that you are talking about day and night? That we have the higher moral standard, we don't do that because we have to be married and okay, if so, I'm not saying that. I don't agree to that myself. I believe man and woman made to get married and have family. How they marry, that's their business, because I'm sure Orlando and that lady with him, they look at each other as they are husband and wife for life. Could they succeed to live all their life together? I don't know, but in their heart, they probably don't feel like they need the religious authority to bless their marriage, and therefore they get married on their own. Or probably their parents married them together. I don't know. That's their business. Maybe they accept the blessing of their parents to marry them together than the religious authority. So we have a, the current prince of Saudi Arabia disregarding all that nonsense that happened before, that woman has to be covered this way and that way and blah 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 blah, that nonsense. And I actually made in one of my videos before, I said I don't encourage this, but probably soon we will see nude beaches in Saudi Arabia. And with that contract with Orlando, I actually, because Orlando is not really a very conservative guy, neither is his girlfriend, and pretty, I don't encourage that, but I think sooner than what I even expect, we will see um, nude beaches in Saudi Arabia. And by the same token, the religious authority they gave us headache that woman has to be covered from head to toe. Nothing shows other than her eyes, and her eyes also should be somehow covered a little bit because uh, she will stimulate men sexually, and therefore she has to be covered. And these same people, when Saudi Arabia opened and the power was taken away from them, now they are, I'm sorry in the expression, they are the Sultan whore. So they see that the current prince wants these things to be done. Now, these very same people that they were saying woman has to be totally covered, they come up and they say the only thing should be covered really is in the woman is the two nipples of her breast, only the nipples, and the vaginal opening and her anal opening. You cover these two breasts and three spots. If they don't show, the rest of the body is fine. Is not really, she doesn't have to cover. So these people, they are really totally weird. Nobody should really trust them, because they are the same people that 5 years ago were saying women should cover everything. Everything. Now, I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, if I go to the beach, I wouldn't want my wife to be wearing, yeah, she can go and swim, but I don't want her to expose what's unnecessary to expose. I mean, she should have a swimming suit making her free to swim, but and it's the same for me. I mean, nobody goes to swim in a swimming pool or in the ocean with three pieces suit. You have to put what's suitable for the swimming. But I wouldn't want her to cover just the nipples and the vaginal opening and the anal opening and pretend that this is a swimming suit. Even if you believe in God or not, even the atheist, no atheist person will want his wife to go to the beach like that. Yet these religious leaders are saying that today. Who would trust these people? And God forbid if something happened to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and another one of these backward guys takes over and comes back and say, oh, a woman has to be covered, they will come back and find a way to justify that. They are, whoever provide them with a good meal will say anything you want. However, what we see here that Saudi Arabia is taking one trend, one direction, Iran is taking 180-degree opposite direction, and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he is looking into improving the country, looking forward to the future. 2030, he has certain vision that by 2030, Saudi Arabia should look like that. By 2050, Saudi Arabia should look like that. And he is working on building the country in this way. And in a way, he is making Saudi Arabia to look like how it was when it was a center of merchant going and coming before the coming of the nonsense that came 1400 years ago. There were Jews in Saudi, in the Gulf region. There were Christian. There were other religions, Sabi'a and few other religions, and also there were idol worshipper who would go around the black building that the Muslim are still keeping the tradition of that was for actually idol worshipping. The Jews and the Christians didn't go to do that. They believed in their God, and idol worshippers, they went to that Kaaba, that black building, to go around it. And at the end of the day, when they did all the ceremony, they had orgy. It was a sexual thing. So we have two elements now, or 2 points are showing us the falling of Islam into the abyss. One is turning away from Islam, and that's Saudi Arabia. Iran is trying to assert their belief in this nonsense, and both actually are moving away from that nonsense. One, Saudi Arabia chose to move away. Iran is forced now to leave it. They are trying to kill, they murder a few young people demonstrating against the regime, because the same accusation that it is used against the deputy who was killed, who was murdered yesterday, that they are doing mischief in the land, and they are fighting Allah and His Prophet and the Sultan. So whatever they are doing, Islam is done. It's over. That is my reading of what's happening today. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you.